Gaming and tech, E3 might be a thing of the past, but the info dump, the gaming dump in the middle of summer, at the beginning of summer, I guess we are, is still here to stay, apparently, because we have, since the last time we spoke, the Sony State of Play. We have Summer Games Fest presentations, and Microsoft's big showcase event that revealed the new Microsoft handheld console. We have, there's way too much to really tease in this intro. This is going to be a huge section, so let's just do this. Welcome once again, nerds, to the Clips channel. This is a smaller portion of a much larger video called The Week in Nerddom that happens over on the main channel. This portion is specifically the gaming and tech portion, where we're going to be talking about brand new things in the world of gaming and tech. So like new computer things. We don't really get too deep into that. I feel like the guys over at Linus and Gamers Nexus and such cover that fairly well. So we'll get the broad strokes there. We'll get in a little bit more deeply in the gaming side of things, so new announcements, DLCs, etc., etc. And then, you know, we're going to suggest some things for you to try out between now and next time you come back. So thank you for joining me. Let's get into the news. All right, we do have one quick follow-up this week for Halo Infinite. This week for gaming, and it is Halo Infinite. Woohoo, words. So the Hayabusa armor is coming in the next operation. They're calling it Operation Legacy. That's the next season for Halo Infinite. Operation Legacy is rolling out soon. Links down below for the launch trailer and such. But yeah, real quick follow-up. That's pretty awesome. I really like the way the Hayabusa armor looks in Halo Infinite much more than I did in Halo 3, so there is that. Continuing on, we do have some trailers that were not specifically from Summer Games Fest, though or from the Xbox Showcase or from the Sony State of Play. Though you will find links to those full-length presentations, including all of the trailers down below as well in the show notes. But we got a couple of them that I didn't see. I take that back. A couple of them. One of them that I wanted to highlight, and then two of them that I don't remember seeing in those three presentations.
Subscribe. That is all.
So if they were in those three presentations, please forgive me. But the first of which is The Expanse, Osiris Reborn. This is a video game based on the book that the Sci-Fi series was also based on, Sci-Fi Channel series was also based on. Super stoked for this just because I dug The Expanse on Sci-Fi and then when it continued on Netflix. Yeah, very excited to see what they do with it here. The trailer kind of dissuades that a little bit though, because it almost makes it look super generic. And like, I guess I understand why a game would look that way trying to adapt this kind of content, because there's a lot of games that deal with this kind of content, whereas the series kind of had a look unto itself, whereas the game really doesn't, but I'm still hopeful. Anyway, the next one is Toxic Crusaders, which is a new Toxic Avenger side-scroller beat-em-up in the same vein of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade and the X-Men arcade and all that jazz. This is Toxic Crusaders, releasing in Q3 of this year, so no specific release date, just a very loose window. And then Deadpool VR. Again, this one, I'm pretty sure I did see this one in one of the presentations, but it just needed to be spotlighted unto itself just because it's super interesting doing Deadpool in VR. It sounds like it's kind of buggy from the people who've already been able to play the demo because they were at the presentation, or I think Josh from Nerdvenger, or the Den of Nerds, was at a Marvel event a few months ago and they had a playable demo back then. But Neil Patrick Harris is doing the voice of Wade Wilson, which is super weird because it's almost Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one, but it's Deadpool, so we had to talk about it. All that being said, that is what we have for trailers. Let's talk about our regular ass news this week. First up, before we get to the big, meaty, juicy bits, we gotta talk about the crazy stuff going on with tech, very specifically streamers, and the streamer I'm speaking of is WB Discovery. Technically, they're a production company as well, but the streaming is affected there. That's why it's in this section. But so the company is splitting into two separately traded companies. The two different companies are going to be Warner Brothers Discovery where did it go? Streaming and Studios, and then the second company is going to be Warner Bros. Discovery Global Networks. So Streaming and Studios is going to be the new home for Warner Bros. TV, Warner Bros. Motion Picture Group, DC Studios, HBO, HBO Max, and WB Games, and then all studio-related operations. Global Networks is going to handle the news stuff, so CNN, TNT Sports, Discovery, Entertainment, and then other entertainment and sports as well. The split is going to be completed sometime middle of next year. The Global Networks side of things apparently is going to be the larger of the two in terms of money, because they are going to maintain a 20% stake in the streaming side until it completely sells off, whenever that happens. It does plan to divest from the streaming, so I worded that wrong. They're going to maintain a 20% stake in the streaming and studio side of things until they sell that 20%. The end result, the end goal apparently for this split is to make each company more intriguing, more motivating for investors. They're looking for people to give them money or to buy them out completely. So if it's a smaller company, they think that those two things are much more viable moving forward for them. That shows you that for all of the bluster, for all of the confidence that they have about doing so well in the market, like, they're still looking to sell, so they're probably not doing as well as they're trying to convince us they are. But that's what we got for the Warner Brothers split. Let's get into. We're just going to list off the things, and we're going to go in reverse order from the presentations. So of the three big ones that happened, because there were a couple other smaller ones that happened this week, and we're not going to really get into, but of the three big ones that happened in reverse order, it's Xbox Showcase, we have the Summer Games Fest, and we have the Sony State of Play. So those are the three that we're going to be getting into, again, in that order, which is technically reverse of what they aired. So first up in the Xbox Showcase, the big reveal that wasn't a gaming reveal was the Xbox ROG, I'm sorry, I said that backwards, ROG Xbox Ally and ROG Xbox Ally X. This is going to be huge moving forward for techies, not necessarily for gamers, though it is going to be pretty big for gamers. It's another handheld on the market. Another handheld, though, that seems to function rather well, so there's that. But another handheld that has an interesting hybrid operating system setup, because you can boot directly into your Xbox, you can boot directly into a Windows operating system, or you can boot directly into the Steam OS. From what I've been able to kind of gather, it hasn't been really laid out explicitly that way. Linus kind of gets into that in his review of it, so I think I am reading this correctly. But if you think about the implications there, and you think about the modding community, you think about operating systems, there's already been concern for people over on the Sony side of things, because you can play Steam games on this Xbox console, and Sony is releasing their games through Steam for PC players. This is not going to be discernible as anything other than a small PC when looking at it from the back end, when looking at the ones and zeros. So you're effectively going to be able to play PlayStations on an Xbox console. But then the modding community, once this launches and we are able to extract the operating system setup, however the hell that works under the hood, you're going to be able to run this on a proper PC. Eventually you'll probably be able to put this onto your Xbox console. This is kind of huge when it comes to like the players getting what they want. So I think that's pretty awesome. Also, when this does launch later this year, that's when Hollow Knight Silksong launches. They're launching in cooperation with one another, so I think that's pretty cool in and of itself. But we have a bunch of trailers that launched this week, so the only one that we're really going to be differentiating any of the trailers from their content is going to be the Xbox Showcase. So the first group of trailers that we got are games that already exist, and we're getting new, or that haven't been released yet. We know they exist though, and they're getting new trailers for the game's existence. So in that order, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Clockwork Revolution. I freaking am super stoked for Clockwork Revolution. It looks like a game that's probably, hopefully, going to scratch that BioShock itch. Gears of War Reloaded, August 26th release, though there is a multiplayer beta that starts this Friday, runs for 2 weekends. There's a lot of stipulations on how you can get into the multiplayer beta. You can't just you have to have the collector's edition of the Gears of War remastered, or you have to have a digital reservation for this new game, or there was one other way and I don't remember what it was. But there are ways to get into it. You can't just opt in, unfortunately. And then you have Grounded 2. We have Keeper. Ninja Gaiden 4 got a new trailer that looks freaking awesome. We also got word from the developer that even in spite of what he views as games getting easier in the modern era, they're going to continue with their trend of making games insanely hard. Player punishing is the descriptor that I like the most when talking about that. I feel like we're doing ourselves a disservice by calling games Souls-like games, because if I'm remembering correctly, Ninja Gaiden on the OG Xbox was out before any of the Souls-like games. I know that FromSoft was a company at that point, but they hadn't put out, the Dark Souls was the first one, I believe. They hadn't yet put out Dark Souls by the time Ninja Gaiden came out. So Ninja Gaiden was a Souls-like before there were Souls-like games. And they're continuing that with Ninja Gaiden 4, but I digress. Outer Worlds 2 got a new trailer and a release date of October 29th. Oh, Ninja Gaiden 4 was October 21st. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. There is a demo live now on the Game Store and on Steam. It is the Foundry level. I think there's only like 1 or 2 playable skaters, but you can play the demo now. Release date, I did not see the release date for it. I'm sure it's in there, I just didn't see it. So Tony Hawk's 3 and 4, go play the Foundry. It's going to be dope. New game announcements is the next group, and we're going to try and burn through this. We have Anemo, which is a Pokemon-like game coming in 2026. Closed beta for PC players is happening this year for that one, though. Aphelion in 2026, At Fate's End, no release date. Beasts of Reincarnation. This looks pretty awesome, especially when you consider this is a new game from Game Freak, who are the developer that gave us the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet debacle. Seems they've gotten their stuff together. The Blood of the Dawnwalker 2026. That one looks pretty dope as well. Chronos, the New Dawn. This is the one that I think I personally am looking forward to possibly the most on this list. Just looks like the proper successor to Dead Space. Very much more than the Callisto Protocol was. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. This includes both the base game and then the DLC that follows Yuffie Kisograti. I know I said that wrong. Final Fantasy 16 is available now on Xbox consoles. High on Life 2 is coming out this winter. Invincible Versus. It is a new fighting game that also I'm super stoked on. 3v3 tag team fighter coming out in 2026. Mudang 2 Hearts, also 2026. Persona 4. I know this is a big one in the community. I've never played Persona, but it's pretty huge. It's coming to the Xbox console from my understanding. Planet of Lana 2, Children of the Leaf. Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy also looks super awesome, though not quite as good as Chronos. We have Solo Leveling Arise Overdrive 2026 on console, 2025 for PC. This is a big one because, you know, they partnered with DUBBY, our channel partner, to do some exclusive flavors. So go check out DUBBY. You can get your exclusive flavors for the Solo Leveling Arise game, and then get 10% off with code Generally Nerdy when you go check it out. Anyway, Super Meat Boy 3D and There Are No Ghosts at the Grand, which looks like a lot of fun for like family time. That looks like a really, really interesting game. That one's coming out in 2026 as well. Then we have DLC trailers from this. We have DLC updates for Age of Mythology Retold Heavenly Spear. This is going to include 12 new gods and is going to be free if you already own the premium edition of a game. That is how this should work. You buy the premium edition of a game and you get all of the future DLCs as part of that premium edition. I'm so tired, though that's not to say I'm gonna stop, sadly, but I'm so tired of spending $300 on a Mortal Kombat game and then I still have to buy the 2 DLCs that follow. It's stupid, it sucks. I'm grateful for my collectibles, but like, let's at least also include the digital content, shall we? All right, continuing from there, Elder Scrolls Online Tales of Tamriel. A newest update to the now 10-year-old main story. This game has been out for ever. Out now for PC and Mac, June 18th for console players. Fallout 76 Gone Fission. That's one of the more clever titles here. A new fishing mechanic introduced to the game. It is out now. There is a lot of stuff, the kind of quality of life updates that they've released with this one as well. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Order of the Giants will be out September 4th. It is DLC for that game. Sea of Thieves Smuggler's Tide will be out this August, and it will be free for all current players. So that is what we got from Xbox. Let's get into the Summer Games Fest. This one's going to go a little bit quicker because I'm going to have a little bit less to say about each individual one, but still going to stop and kind of address certain things. Anyway, so in reverse, or in alphabetical order rather, we have Arc Raiders, Atomic Heart 2, which looks freaking awesome. Chrono Odyssey, Code Vein, Crimson Heart, Crystal, Theater of Idols, The Cube, which is from the Atomic Universe. That looks even better. Just Atomic Heart in multiplayer is basically how that works. Death Stranding 2 On the Beach. Of course I'm super stoked for that one. Demon Slayer, Kimsetu no Yaba, the Hinokami Chronicles. Wow, that's a lot of words I can't pronounce. Detective 8020, Dying Light, The Beast. That looks pretty dope, not gonna lie. End of Abyss, FBC Firebreak. That one looks fun. I really want to see a little bit more about it though. Game of Thrones, War of Westeros. That one potentially could be life-sucking. Like, that looks like you could throw a lot of hours at it and get a whole bunch of different endings proper endings to the story, not just what the hell we got in the TV show. Anyway, Grave Sessions Ill is one that I'm extra super excited for because I love a good gore fest in a horror game, and that looks like a great gore fest in a horror game. Infinitesimals, Lego Voyager. This is a different kind of Lego game. The previous Lego games have been very cartoony and so on and so forth. This Lego game, while still in effect, is very lighthearted and family friendly, as it should be because it's a Lego game, but like the art style for this is much more realistic, and I'm super intrigued by that. I'm very intrigued as to what the differences are going to be from this Lego game and previous Lego games. Lies of P Overture, another Souls-like. Lies of P, the first one was great, so of course the continuation is going to be great as well. Mina the Hollower is one that I super am excited for as well. Just to love a good 2D side-scroll and beat 'em up, platformer, everything. Mina the Hollower looks like it's got it all. Mixtape, Mortal Shell 2 looks dope. Onimusha, Way of the Sword, yeah, I'm intrigued by. Resident Evil Requiem, from all accounts to all the people who were at Games Fest and got to see the demo, because you didn't really play the demo, they were playing the demo in front of you. But the people who got to see the demo say that this is potentially one of the scariest Resident Evils that we've seen for some time. Scott Pilgrim EX, Shinobi, Art of Violence, Sonic Racing, Crossworlds, bunch of random crossover guest spots in this one. It's going to be really interesting. Stranger Than Heaven, The Witcher 4, of course, that one looks awesome because The Witcher. And Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver, that's another beat 'em up. It's another, I don't even know. It's like, oh, I'm going to brain fart the game. Oh no, I can't even, whatever. It's beat 'em up, yeah, it just looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's what we have from Summer Games Fest. Go check out all of these trailers. They will, again, I'll have the Games Fest links down below in the show notes. And then we have the Sony State of Play. The 007 First Light is the game that we talked about last week and how it's going to be something different. Well, now we know how it's different because it's how James Bond gets his 007 tag. It's a prequel to the story, if you will. Astrobot, New Levels, Baby Steps. Oh god, that one looks ridiculous. We have Bloodstained, The Scarlet Engagement. Apparently Bloodstained is a series that I'm not aware of. Karn, Digimon Story, The Time Stranger. This one looks like a very mature Digimon game. That is not like mature like M-rated, but like for an older audience. I feel like Digimon has aged up a little bit more than Pokemon, even though they both came out at about the same time. So that's pretty interesting. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, I know I said that wrong, coming to PS5. Origami inspired action game. That one looks like it's going to be super interesting. Lumines Arise. I remember playing Lumines when it first came out, the very, very first iteration on Xbox Live Arcade. I loved it then. It looks like they've only gotten better. Super stoked for that. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls 4v4 fighting game that is a Marvel game that is not put out by Capcom. it's going to ruffle some feathers. It kind of already has ruffled some feathers. It looks pretty awesome, though we will be keeping tabs on this one for sure because it's going to be something unique. We got another trailer from Metal Gear Solid Delta. It looks like they might be teasing multiplayer for Delta, which if that's the case, let's go. Let's just get right on this, please. That's going to be incredible. Mortal Kombat Collection. This one's super interesting. So we have a whole bunch of games. We obviously have all of the 2D era games, but not just like one version. It's not like the last ROM that they created. These are the 2D era games in all of their iterations. So legitimately you have the arcade version, you have the Super Nintendo version, you have the Genesis version. I think even the PlayStation version was on there, although I don't know if that's really discernible. You at the very least have those three. I'm not looking at the specific details right here in front of me, but you at the very least have those three for the Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. So that's super interesting. But then you have a bunch of like random games. You have a couple of Game Boy Advance games of Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition, Mortal Kombat, what was it, Annihilation? Not Annihilation, that was the second movie. Oh, Deadly Alliance, that's what it was. Mortal Kombat, so you have Tournament Edition and Deadly Alliance, which is kind of the same roster, just a couple of differences, though the gameplay is pretty different. I have both of them on my Game Boy Advance. I played them extensively, but super interesting the things that were left off, because a lot of the fan base associate Mortal Kombat 4 with, oh no, I think Mortal Kombat 4 was actually on there, but not Mortal Kombat Gold. No sign of Mortal Kombat Trilogy anywhere, though that's probably because these are all connected. You can play these online against other players, and Trilogy is broken so much so that in places where they actually have Mortal Kombat Trilogy tournaments is the word I'm looking for. Places where they actually have Mortal Kombat Trilogy tournaments, certain characters are off limits because they are so broken. So like and they're not going to put extra time into fixing these characters. So I think that might be part of the motivation for why they don't have Trilogy on there. I mean, you effectively have all of the characters from Trilogy in this package. They're just not all in the exact same little bundle inside the package. So, but like, again, you have a couple of things missing. Why there's not a full-on console version of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance or Mortal Kombat Armageddon or anything like that seems interesting. Or no mention of Shaolin Monks yet either. And I say yet because there are apparently 4 empty games that they have yet to announce with this. They have said themselves there's going to be at least 4 games that are going to be coming with this package that are not yet announced. So there's been wild speculation as to what those 4 games are. I think it's a fairly safe bet considering as much love as Boone has given to Shaolin Monks. I think it's a fairly safe bet to say Shaolin Monks is probably going to be one of those 4, though the other 3 really are kind of up in the air. I think Unchained would be a great one because it is basically Deadly Alliance, just a couple of character roster changes, which is unique unto that very specific handheld version of that game, so that would be pretty awesome. Beyond that, I don't know what I want. Maybe a couple of the actual 3D era games and not just their Game Boy counterparts. But again, I'm wasting too much time on Mortal Kombat Collection. I'm very excited though. I don't know if you could tell. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. This is the side scroller, the 2D side scroller, and I am in love with this. Neo 3, Team Ninja's new game that looks freaking awesome. Pragmata, Capcom's sci-fi adventure, is back. Project Defiant. Romeo is a Dead Man. This is the one that I had the most love for in the Sony State of Play. This one, and then also Felt That Boxing. I'm pretty sure it was at the State of Play and not at the other ones, but Felt That Boxing looks freaking hilarious and looks incredible. Like, it looks like you're actually playing as puppets, not just like, oh, that's a digital version of what is probably designed artistically like a puppet. No, it looks like you're actually playing puppets. It's pretty awesome. Where did I leave off? Romeo's Dead Man, Sea of Remnants, Silent Hill F. We got another release date. Oh, nope. We already had the release date for that one. Sorry. Sword of the Sea, Thief VR, and Tides of tomorrow. Also mentioned here were new PlayStation Plus games. We have the original Deus Ex, we have Twisted Metal 3 and 4, and the original PlayStation versions of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So crazy awesome stuff that has happened in gaming this week. All right, so we're gonna take another second here real quick and remind you that this is the season of the merch. We are pushing merch this season real hard. I just put up the surprise, quote unquote, surprise drop for, I think honestly I might just keep this one on the store just because I think it's pretty silly. I don't know, I'm proud of myself in my stupidity, but it's the Confused Millennial t-shirt, Confused Millennial design, because it's more than a t-shirt. You got the hoodie, you got the long sleeve, you got the sticker, you got the mug, you got the shopping bag, all of these options up at the general store, linked down in the description of this episode. You can go check that out. Purchase any one of those things. No coupon code right now because we're not doing our monthly shirt. That begins next week. Next week you'll be getting another 10% coupon code with the design for the month, the temporary design for the month, which I think is going to be real juicy for all of you cinema and music nerds out there. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But right now, go check out the Confused Millennial design and all of the other basic nerd designs up at the Nerdy store right now. I thank you, as always, nerds, for checking it out. Again, stay tuned to the Nerdy stores, the general store, for updated designs every month. We drop at least one new design every month. Go check that out. We'll see you over there. But now let's finish the show, shall we? There will be a Konami press event tomorrow as I'm filming this, so probably today as you're watching. We will talk about that next week. Also this week, just all of the info dump just keeps coming. We got the Apple press event. Apple WWDC 2025 this year was all about software. Yeah, we're moving quickly through this section, guys. All about software. No hardware was announced. The biggest change is a design overhaul called Liquid Glass. I'm sorry, I'm reading this. We'll put visuals up to make this more interesting to you, which brings more translucent and layered look to everything. Apple's also streamlining its OS system names, so everything is getting the 26 version number: iOS 26, iPad OS 26, Mac OS 26, so on and so forth. So they're jumping around so that they can unify, which is something I think hardware companies could take note of, because we got, you know, Nvidia's naming scheme is kind of a mess, and now AMD's naming scheme is going the same way. A huge focus was put on Apple Intelligence, which is their brand for a bunch of new AI-powered features. Includes stuff like live translation for calls and messages, smarter call screening, and the ability to create custom emojis called Genmojis, which they covered last year. And I guess they haven't fully rolled it out yet. Apple Watch, there's a new workout buddy. Acts like an AI-powered personal trainer, giving you encouragement and feedback on your workouts, which I don't know how they're going to do that from the watch, but okay. And then also Mac OS is finally getting a phone app, so you can run phone things on your computer. You can take calls directly. iPad OS getting more powerful with better multitasking and a Mac style menu bar. Games app, we got a couple other apps going on in there, and yeah, just everything in one place is effectively how that's going. They're bringing it together. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 3 to 5 years that basically it's the same OS for all your devices effectively, and then you just the minor differences between the capability of the device and not necessarily the capability of the OS. So I think that going off of what we see here, that is, I think, the direction Apple's headed. But that's kind of always been the direction they've headed. It's just they kind of took a couple of side streets along the way. So that's everything we have for brand new news in gaming and tech. Let's talk about our suggestion for the week. Legitimately, there's so much stuff going on as far as like these presentations and stuff. Your suggestion for the week is to just put them on, tune out, enjoy the visuals, because there's a lot of really awesome gaming stuff that is headed our way. And the big three, we have, again, Sony State of Play, the Summer Games Fest, and the Xbox Showcase. All three of those presentations are approximately an hour and a half each or so. Watch them all if you really want to throw more in there. The Konami one's happening in a couple of days. And also there's the Outer Worlds 2 special presentation that happened after the Xbox showcase that's got a lot of really cool stuff if you really want to get into the Outer Worlds 2 and stuff. But yeah, that is your suggestion for the week. Just go watch all those presentations and enjoy it, because we have a great year and a half or so of gaming ahead of us. And yeah, that's what we got there. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of these sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, probably here.